right. Good evening, everyone. First, let me say a huge thank you to TEDx Women, to the topic that you've chosen about women in power, and the incredible speeches that have already been given. Seriously, really, really impressive and inspirational. I'm moved, inspired, educated, etc. What I would like to chat with you about is information and power. And let me start with a story. A story about, if we can get the next slide, please, Uwamahoro. And one day, her boyfriend asks her to come over to his house. So she goes, and he takes advantage of her. They've never really had conversations about sex, but they've never really talked about it. She's not really sure how to handle this situation. And to be honest, nobody ever gave him information about relationships, about consent. But in any case, she gets pregnant, he disappears. Let me tell you another story. This one about myself, if we look at the next slide. This is me when I was a teenager in the 1980s in Texas, big hair. What's interesting is that in the 1980s in the United States, the teen pregnancy rates at that time were higher than the teen pregnancy rates in Rwanda today. We'll come back to that thought in a minute. So because of these high teen pregnancy rates in the US at the time, we had the fear of God put into us. Do not get pregnant. Your life will end. You won't go to college. You won't be able to have a good job. You'll be tied to this baby. And it was also the late 80s, so HIV/AIDS was starting to be an issue. And that was another reason why we had a lot of lectures, etc. But the good thing was these lectures were information, sex ed, in school, in the health class, in the science class, but also at church. Seventh and James Baptist Church, we had a very hip youth minister. We watched movies about relationships and we talked about them. So this information that gave us power was really, really useful. And it's one of the reasons, if we look at the next slide, one of the reasons why the pregnancy rates for teens in the US came down so dramatically. When I was a teenager, 6% pregnancy rates. They came down to 3% in 2010 and have continued to drop. Now in Rwanda, the 2019-2020 DHS tells us that 5% of Rwandan teenagers get pregnant. 22,000 pregnancies last year. So actually lower than that really high level in the US in the late 80s. But if we ask ourselves, why did these rates go down so much? The first reason was sex ed, information for young people about their health, about their bodies, about relationships. We'll come to the second reason in a minute, but let's go to the next. One of the reasons why the information was useful was because it was shared in a way that was simple. I want to show you a little clip from a video that was actually done by the police in the UK. In the UK, anyone British here? Yes. Do you drink tea? Yes. The Brits like their tea. So this wonderful video compares the fact that you shouldn't force anyone to drink tea. You also shouldn't force anyone to have sex. Let's just take a look for 30 seconds.
You say, hey, would you like a cup of tea? And they go, oh my God, I would love a cup of tea, thank you. Then you know they want a cup of tea. If you say, hey, would you like a cup of tea? And they're like, I'm not really sure. Then you can make them a cup of tea, or not, but be aware that they might not drink it. And if they don't drink it, then, and this is the important bit, don't make them drink it. Just because you made it doesn't mean you're entitled to watch them drink it. And if they say, no thank you, then don't make them tea. At all. Just don't make them tea. Don't make them drink tea, don't get annoyed at them for not wanting tea. They just don't want tea, okay? They might say, yes please, that's kind of you. And then when the tea arrives, they actually don't want the tea at all. Sure, that's kind of annoying as you've gone to all the effort of making the tea, but they remain under no obligation to drink the tea. They did want tea, now they don't. Some people change their mind in the time it takes to boil the kettle, brew the tea, and add the milk. And it's okay for people to change their mind. And you are still not entitled to watch them drink it. If someone said yes to tea around your house last Saturday, that doesn't mean they want you to make them tea all the time. They don't want you to come around to their place unexpectedly and make them tea and force them to drink it, going, "But you wanted tea last week," or to wake up to find you pouring tea down their throat going, "But you wanted tea last night." If you can understand how completely ludicrous it is to force people to have tea when they don't want tea, and you are able to understand when people don't want tea, then how hard is it to understand when it comes to sex? Whether it's tea or sex, consent is everything.
It's fantastic. And it actually brings home the point that if you make someone a cup of tea and you give it to them and they drink it and they enjoy it, great, more power to them. If you make them the cup of tea and you give it to them and they say, no, not interested, do you force it down them? No. You say, all right, fine, don't drink the tea. Same concept. And it's really important that we talk with our young people about these issues of consent. But let's go to the next slide. I have a daughter who's 13, and I have tried to educate her a little more about some of these issues. So when she was about 10, I got her a book just about puberty, about getting your period, about wearing deodorant, that sort of thing. And then a couple of years later, I got her this book. This is not a how-to guide about sex, but it does have really useful information and answers to questions like, can you get pregnant the first time you have sex? No. Very important that, sorry, yes. The next one, the answer is no. I'm glad to see that you were listening. The point is, there are different tools that we use, whether it's books, whether it's videos. To all the young people, please remember the answer to that question is yes. It's really important to remember and use these tools and talk with our young people about these issues. Because when they have information, there's power to make decisions. If we go to the next slide, thank you. This is the one that the answer is no. There is a rumor going around among some in Rwanda that if you drink milk before you have sex and you drink milk after you have sex, you won't have a baby. The answer to that is no. There's a similar myth in Uganda that this relates to drinking Coca-Cola. But the point is, if we give young people accurate information, comprehensive information, then they can make decisions about their own bodies. Next slide, please. The second reason why, remember that graph, 6% down to 3%. The second reason why the teen pregnancy rates went down so much in the United States was access to contraceptives. Many different kinds, but especially long-lasting contraceptives like the implant. So that you don't have to convince the guy to wear a condom. You don't have to take the birth control pills quietly, hiding them from the rest of the family. So if you have information about contraceptives and you have the ability to access them, then there's power to make decisions about your life. So lastly, if we have information, if we give young people information, then perhaps things will turn out differently. If I think about Owamahoro, if she had had information about relationships, if she'd had information about contraceptives, if someone had given information to her boyfriend about consent, maybe things would have been different. And in Rwanda, there's rightly a very big effort to try to reduce the teen pregnancy rates here. So I ask myself, if we gave young people information, if we gave them access to contraceptives, would things be different? Food for thought. Morokozi-chan ni.